Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel. What are we looking at here today? One of the cleanest Stihl ms440s I think I've looked at in person. The owner of this originally contacted me, it's been a while back, asking about port work, but said the saw may have some issues, said it's kind of down on power. I think he told me he had owned the saw about 10 years. Used it to cut firewood, used it for storm cleanup. Most of the general things a lot of us use chainsaws for, but today in this video I think what we're going to do is just some diagnosing. Probably fuel it up, run it, put a barn chain on it, and see what happens. Said that you it's gotten to where you kind of have to milk it through the wood, and these things usually pull really strong, just stock, but looks like we've got a bark box on it. This thing, just doing a simple pull, has a ton of compression, all it would have ever had, if not more, so I don't think we're going to have an issue with that. The owner, I'd stated, said it might have an air leak. Wasn't for sure, but filter's doing its job. It's got the filter inside too. We'll blow that off, but I don't even think there's much sense in putting a compression gauge on. It looks a little better. So that's the plan of action. Is we'll fuel it up and fire it up. Let's see how it sounds. This saw does not have a decomp, which means it's an early 440. Well, doing it like that, the compression feels about normal, I guess. That's a pretty good sign for it to pull. Guys, let's run a compression test on it. It felt normalish, like, you know, drop starting it, I guess I would say. But this thing acts like it's had some work done to it. I know some of the old 044 cylinders had some really hot numbers in them. That thing is snappy and just jumps up on the pipe like crazy. I'll be really surprised when I get into this thing if it hasn't already had some work done at some point or another. Maybe the older 440s are just that hot right out of the gate. But the clutch bearing on it's making a lot of noise. We're going to have a look at that. But let's do a compression test on it. Alright. Very clean saw, well taken care of. Love working on saws like this. I don't think this thing's going to need much work other than what performance work will do. No compression gauge has seen better days. Alright, let's give it a try. We are on 0. She's warm 170 psi. It's really going to surprise me if this don't at least have a base gasket delete. In most cases, you don't get that stock. Someone will correct me and say they have one with that stock, and I'll probably tear this down and it's going to be untouched and have that much. But like I said, it feels like a saw that's already been modified. So the next step is we'll hunt up a bar and chain here out of my bucket of miscellaneous bars and chains, and we'll see what's up, because he said he was kind of having to milk it through the cuts, so who knows. This chain is sharp, but it might not be YouTube sharp. Someone will laugh at that, but it's the truth. This bar and chain was actually on the 034 that we built. I'm just slightly touching it up. That saw had a couple of tanks ran through it. Like I said, it's still got an edge on it. It's still laid wide open, but you know, it might not be YouTube worthy, so let's just drag a file through it a few strokes. I don't count. You can feel when it's short. Those of you that sharpen know that. If you don't, you can feel when it's sharp. And that, my friends, is deadly. Really it is. It sends your ass to the ER. I have a scar on my leg. We don't want to hit that one from that angle. I have a big scar on my leg where I just walked past a saw sitting in a chair over there in the other shop, and I didn't even know it had cut me. I was driving the four-wheeler around and the wife's like, "What in the world did you do to your leg?" And it was that sharp, I didn't even feel it cut me. Like, I knew I brushed against it, but I didn't know it cut me wide open. You can almost hear the difference. That's a brand new file. It is really, really good. Don't ask me what file I like. I just buy whatever. Oregon files are good. This is actually a Hulls Forma file. On an order, you get like a whole box of those things dirt cheap. Alright, that thing's good. So I've got a piece of white oak out here in the splitter, locked into it. My little log stand rotted and broke. Really like to build a nice one out of Stihl, but I don't know. Log splitter seems to work really well, but kind of sucks when you got to loft a big heavy piece of hard wood up in it. But that might explain an
Okay,
issue.
guys.
The jets on the car have to be out quite a ways. That's a sign of maybe issues with the carb or an air leak, as the owner may have suggested. With that chain, I don't even know if I can milk it through that cut. I like it a little different than chain than a lot of people. I like it to have pretty good pull even in hardwood. It don't, get much harder than white oak that's been on the ground a few years. We got the chain on point. My grinds usually do really well. After you put a tank or two, I don't file a chain or sharpen it back. Every tank, every saw is different. Some use more fuel than others. I've got 40cc saws here that'll run 2 hours on a tank of fuel. So, some of these larger saws, you don't get 30 minutes out of a tank of fuel, and these bigger saws, I put several tanks of fuel on one before I touch up the chain, but that's just me. As you can see, that thing's self-feeding and pulling good. Pulling pretty good chips for white oak, but back to the saw, I would say just like a fuel line carb kit. I'll email them, see if any of that's ever been done, but looking at the fuel line, it kind of looks original. Fuel line carb kit, we should be able to source those OEM. I've got strainers laying here. Pull it down, have a look at the piston. I'm sure it's going to be fine. At least throw a new set of cable rings in it. See if we can locate a good set of crank seals to go in it, and that about eliminates any air leak issues. But was able to tune around it so it can't be that bad. But if we had a 24, 28, or 32 on it and was in 3 feet of wood, it may show back up, but I don't know. It seemed to be running pretty good there. But that'll probably be the next video. I'll throw this one together for you guys, but by the time you see this one, I will probably have done talked to the owner and dove into the saw. As always, thank you guys for watching, supporting the channel. Be sure to give us a thumbs up. Believe it or not, it helps. And y'all have a good day.